Where have all the entry-level jobs gone? That's a question that people are asking a lot in 2025, and we saw this a lot in 2024. And I'm seeing this creep into more and more jobs beyond just software development or software engineering. Uh, I know this for a fact really to be true for data analyst positions. I've been trying to find a data analyst job for a friend, and I just haven't been able to find a basic entry level job for data analysis or being a data analyst. I've seen a lot of senior data analyst positions, but not a lot of entry level positions. And it's not just me trying to find a filter on remote. It's simply that I just am really unable to find an entry level position for this field. And this is something that is just plaguing the tech industry as a whole in 2025. And it's just gotten so much worse. And I feel like we're going to be encroaching upon, honestly, just this point where we are only hiring for senior positions. And it really begs the question as to why. Why are we only or mostly looking for senior level people? And won't we run out of time? Meaning, won't we run into a situation where all the senior engineers retire and we don't have people to backfill those positions? And if the trends continue like they are, we're definitely going to have a supply problem when all the senior developers or engineers retire and we haven't invested enough into replacing those people. Because if we're only hiring for seniors and we're not hiring the same or equivalent numbers in junior and mid level engineers, then what's going to happen if the bulk of the labor force exits? What happens or who is going to take those positions? And this is further complicated with how quickly AI has changed how we write code and how much code we can write in such a short amount of time. And people argue that AI is going to effectively replace the entry level um, developer market or entry level. It's going to basically take the entry level jobs. And we see this argument made for entry level data analysts, entry level accountants, entry level financial analysts, and basically across the board for just honestly just entry level positions. And while I do think that AI is going to definitely reduce the number of jobs that are posted, I think that it's more than that. I think what's really happening is there's an expectation problem. I think there's an expectation problem in the sense that when we look for people to do a job, we expect basic things out of them, right? It's no different than if we take our car to a shop. We expect that if we have a Volkswagen, we take it to a Volkswagen dealer. They're going to know how to work on our car. In the same way, if we have a .NET system like we have on this channel, if we then go and look for a .NET developer, we expect them to know how to maintain and enhance something that's written in .NET and in C Sharp. But the problem is that given how fast the technological landscape is changing, and how many new frameworks and libraries and honestly languages are being added into the mix of these things, it's no longer just .NET, right? It's being able to service Volkswagen, Ford, and Honda, right? German, American, and Japanese auto manufacturers all being serviced at the same location. And that's effectively what's happening with technology, right? We've moved beyond just simply a .NET developer, but now it's become full stack. And full stack can cover anything under the sun. And this is growing and growing, and the number of things that are being included into full stack just keeps growing. And the lines have been blurred between what is a back-end developer, what is a front-end developer, what is a full stack developer, what is a .NET developer. All these terms that used to be very, very, or I shouldn't say very, but better defined, now are all kind of being grayed. The lines are being grayed where they're all basically becoming a full stack developer. And this is meaning to say that we all need to know containerization, we need to know backend development, front end development, databases, everything in between, deployments, cloud, and all this stuff. And finding someone who knows all of that and is good at all of that is very, very difficult. And you often have to pay a premium for somebody with that skill set. That's where the senior market comes in, because the expectation with the senior developers is that they've been around long enough to have worked on enough projects to give them at least adequate experience on all those things. But the problem is, junior developers are not going to have those skills. So companies are in this kind of, I think, tight spot where they need people who know the skills, and they know that they can't find them in junior developer positions, and they don't have resources to train people. And I think that this is simply because the turnover rates are so high in technology right now, about 1.5 to 2 years, depending on where you look. So when you invest about 6 months of training, because it takes a while, you're only left with a year left. And that's a tough sell from a cost perspective. And I feel like it's only getting worse. And we really have to do something about it. We either have to create programs to teach these skills in a more just fundamental way, or we have to completely change the model of how we're going about hiring. Because if we're only hiring based on skills alone, there's going to be a point when we simply just can't even look for junior and mid level. We'll have to exclusively look for senior. And that's going to be difficult, because at some point you have to say, well, how do the junior developers get experience? And that always is the question, right? Because that's always the joke, right? You look at entry level positions and they say they require 3 to 5 years experience. And it's always, how do you get the 3 to 5 years experience? That is the $1 million question, and it's largely unanswerable given the current state of the job market, of the economy. It's an unanswerable question simply because it doesn't make a lot of sense. And I don't see an argument where it does make sense, because if you're asking for 3 to 5 years professional experience, but it's a junior position, do you then have to get 3 or 4 internships to supplement that time? Because some places don't even count internship experience as professional experience. I've seen this before on applications, and not only is that just insane, but it just simply doesn't make sense. And so we're really at a very, very odd point in time. And we're also at a very odd point in time when you see people in a higher position apply for a lower level position simply because it's remote. So when you add remote work into the whole mix, not only does that make everything more competitive, but it's even further blurring the lines between what, these different titles and scope of responsibilities. Because if you have a senior person wanting, to still do most of their job function, but they want a remote job, who's to say that they're not just going to apply to this, entry to mid-level position and try to get the upper boundary of the salary range? But because it's remote, that's the only reason they're applying to it. And it's very tough to say that that's not happening. And we're in a really weird spot. And I want to say it's going to improve, but I really think it's only going to improve with some kind of external stimulus to the whole process. Meaning, I think it's only going to improve if we actively seek out a better way to do this. When you look at other career paths, there is some form of apprenticeship model, meaning you kind of come into this career or trade, and you're taught, you're basically trained on how to do this job, and there's this like kind of not promise, but there's an expectation there that after a couple years you're going to get to this spot. And I don't think that, until software development and other related technical fields, I don't think that until they get to that spot, we're going to see any form of improvement. And so if there is availability for training and for that type of mentorship, or really an apprenticeship model, then that is a very, very good thing. But the unfortunate reality is that that is the minority experience. And it really begs the question as to why. Why is it that way in technology? Is it because it's such a new career? It's possible. Is it because that people are still trying to make sense of all the new technologies and new frameworks and different, honestly, ways of communication? I think that that is also possible. I think that everybody is still trying to figure out how to define this career, how to define this job, because you know, frankly, it is a pretty new career compared to you know, other jobs, right? And so when you look at not just software development but technology jobs as a whole, it's they're just everything is just in flux. And I want to say that it's going to get better in 2025. I'm optimistic, but again, it's I think we all have to be kind of you know continually learning and continually uh, honing our own skills and just see what we can do. Because so that's all I got for today. I'll see you in the next one.